I went insane in the month of June over books. And probably some other things, but mostly over books. Every month when I see BookTokers do their recap of the month and they're like, these are the 20 books I read this month, or these are the 13,000 books that I've read this month, I'm always filled with envy. And I know there's a lot of controversy over how many books someone reads a month. And let me just state for the record, I could not give one fuck about how many books anyone is reading. However, for some reason, specifically when it comes to 20 books, when I see that someone has read 20 books in a month, I just feel aspirational. I feel envy. I too want to read 20 books in 1 month. I don't want to do that every month. I cannot do that every month. I would be unwell if I did that every month, but I wanted to do it at least one time. And in the month of June, I submitted requests for so many arcs, and I got all of them. I also put out so many holds on Libby, and I also got all of them. So I was in a bit of a conundrum where I had so many books to read, and just because I felt the pressure and the stress of that, I was reading like crazy. And at the end of the month, I realized that I was on track finally for a 20 book month. I'm very proud of myself. It's the only time this will ever happen. So to celebrate, instead of doing reviews for all of these books because that would be insane, except there's two of them that I have to review, Mercy Makers and Plain Bad Heroines. I have to talk to someone about them. So expect a video coming soon about those because I simply cannot keep them to myself. I must speak to someone about them. Whether it's a therapist or you guys, it has to be someone. So it's probably gonna be you guys. So in the spirit of briefly talking about all of these, I'm gonna do a quick ranking tier list situation. So let's get into it. I'm gonna try to be as speedy as possible, but I'm a yapper and it's so hard. Okay, our rankings from highest to lowest are God tier, shelf trophy status, 10 out of 10 on Yelp, would read, wouldn't add to my shelf. Your life will always be the same if you read this book, and it will also always be the same if you don't read this book, and sorry I hated you. First things first, The Night and the Moth, one of my most anticipated books of the year, God tier, going in God tier. I'm gonna skip straight to Bury Our Bones on the Midnight Soil, even though that's not next on the list, because that is also God tier, no questions asked, also one of my most anticipated books of the year. Heavenly Bodies. Okay. See, I feel like if you asked me independently of these other books, I would put it in God tier, but maybe it's just shelf trophy status. I think I'm leaning towards shelf trophy. I think we gotta be particular about what's in the God tier section. How to Seal Your Own Fate. I loved the first book in this series, and I really enjoyed this one. I don't think I'm gonna put it on shelf trophy status though. I think she's gotta go 10 out of 10 on Yelp. The Stone Witch of Florence. I wanted to read this book so badly for so long. I love witches. I love stones. I'm a crystal girly. I've never been to Florence, but I'd love to go to Italy and I'd love to travel. So to me, this sounds like the recipe for a perfect book for me. Unfortunately, this is a your life will always be the same if you read this book, and it will also always be the same if you don't read this book. It just, I don't know, it didn't really hit for me. That sounded really Minnesotan. I apologize. Next book, Saltwater by Katie Hayes. I love Katie Hayes. I think this is going to be 10 out of 10 on Yelp for me. She's an auto-buy author for me. This one was super good. I've read her book, The Cloisters, which I adore. It is such a good dark academia novel. If you haven't read it and you like dark academia, you have to pick that one up. This one had a very similar energy with like the tension and no one kind of being what they seem and no one being trustworthy. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like if I could kind of like flex my own rules that I've created, I put it between 10 out of 10 on Yelp and shelf trophy status. But I think I'm gonna stick to 10 out of 10 on Yelp for this one. Trust Me, I'm Lying. I'm putting in would read, wouldn't add to my shelf. I highly recommend this if you're interested in the media or journalism. It's so fascinating. I work in marketing and communications, and just thinking about the ways that people manipulate media was insane and so fascinating to read. This book starts with him putting up a billboard on behalf of one of his friends who's a client of his, and then he defaces it and then sends a picture to the media saying, so glad someone else hates this guy as much as I do. And he does that just to stir up controversy, and it works. Groundbreaker. Unfortunately, I have to put this book in Sorry I Hated You. I kind of hated it. Plain Bad Heroines is going in God tier. I already said that I have to do a review for this book. I feel like this book changed the way that I'm going to read going forward. It was so interesting and unique. It's God tier for me. The life-changing magic of not giving a fuck. This is your life will always be the same if you read this book, and it will also always be the same if you don't read this book. Mercy Makers is God tier. Okay, we're going to talk about Mercy Makers later, but we need a whole maybe 10 minutes to talk about this. Loud, I love Drew. This is going 10 out of 10 on Yelp. It's potentially shelf trophy status as well. I think like I could be persuaded to pick it up. I'm less inclined to put nonfiction on my shelf. I don't know why. I like nonfiction in ebook format and audiobooks. I listened to the audiobook on this one, and because of course it's Drew, obviously I'm going to listen to the audiobook, and it was very good. Vengeful, shelf trophy status, love V.E. Schwab, love her. Atmosphere, I'm also going to put on shelf trophy status because this book made me sob at the end. Taylor, why did you do this to me? How dare you? Also, the book is really cool looking, and I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. The Neverlist, unfortunately, has to go to Sorry I Hate You. The plot was not plotting for me. It just wasn't happening. It was very smutty. If you want a smutty read with no plot and little character development, this is the book for you. I like a healthy balance of everything. You know what I mean? We really can have it all, and we didn't have it all in this one. So sorry. The Age of Magical Overthinking. I started with Your Life Will Always Be the Same if you read this book, and it will also always be the same if you don't read this book, but by the end of it I kind of got to like a Sorry I Hate You status, but I'm gonna put it here because that's how I felt about it for most of the time I was reading. The Ghosts of Gwendolyn Montgomery, I think I'm gonna put on would read, wouldn't add to my shelf. I could go either way on this one. It was a really enjoyable read, but when I started it I wasn't sure if I was going to love it or not. It had some crazy twists and turns. It was super entertaining. It features ghosts taking over the world, and there's a cast of characters. It's a really fun read. If you like ghosts and you like more like modern fiction, you will really enjoy this read. So I think I'm gonna put would read, wouldn't add to my shelf. The Last Empress of France. Ooh. Okay, I think I'm going to put 10 out of 10 on Yelp. It was super fascinating. This is a nonfiction piece. It's about Eugenie, the last Empress of France, as the title suggests, and she was incredible. She did so much for France, and it was just a fascinating read. The Sacrifice, I would put on would read, wouldn't add to my shelf. I really enjoyed this one. Highly suggest getting it from the library or renting it. I don't know that it's shelf status for me personally. And then lastly, Writing Mr. Wrong, I think I'm gonna put would read, wouldn't add to my shelf for this one too, because it was such a fun read, but I don't know if it's like a collect it for my shelf now that I've read it status, but I'd highly recommend for all my romance lovers out there. Okay, and that was my month. I feel like that's a great balance between God tier, shelf trophy status, books that I didn't particularly care for, books that I felt a little ambiguous about. All in all, a great month. I'm very proud of myself for getting to 20. Okay, I'm really running out of time here, but I will do full reviews on Mercy Makers and Plain Bad Heroines coming very soon to you. Okay, that's all I've got for now. Bye!